J-Mo here, Manchester United YouTube channel, Stretford Paddock, looking ahead to the Everton game with the Toffee Blues. Good to chat to you guys again. Just looking at some of the questions you sent. Thoughts on United this season so far? It's been a bit up and down for United this season. We've had some lows. We've obviously lost the Manchester derby, losing the opening game against Arsenal, losing to Brentford, and that bad result. Well, they're all bad results that I've just mentioned, but that particularly bad result in the Carabao Cup against Grimsby. But things have looked better over the last 5 games. We had a winning run of 3 games, including that big win at Anfield. And then it's been back-to-back draws, which is slightly deflating, but at least if you want to be positive, it's 5 games unbeaten, which hasn't happened a lot under Ruben Amorim. We hadn't won back-to-back games in the Premier League under Ruben Amorim until recently. So, yeah, I feel like this season has been up and down, but at least it seems to be heading in the right direction. We've got a run of games now which are a lot easier, no disrespect to Everton, than we've had at the beginning of the season. It is going to be difficult, though, with the AFCON looming as well. Just how well we can cope by losing, when we lose, Brian Mbeumo, Amad Diallo and Nusayr Mazraoui, who've been very good players for us this season. My thoughts on Ruben Amorim are, I'm cautiously optimistic with him. I was a little bit worried earlier on in the season, especially after that Grimsby game. He looked like someone who just almost given up. And again, following the defeat to Brentford. But he seems to be a little bit more confident. The team seems to have belief. And I think that's sort of given me reason, and quite a few United fans reason, to think that this might have an happy ending at Manchester United, Ruben Amorim. And it didn't look like that following the defeat at Brentford, especially. It just looked like this was the beginning of the end almost. But it was a difficult season last season. More than difficult, actually. It was just a terrible season last season. This season, a little bit better on the whole, although we've had some downs. But I feel like now with Amorim, we're beginning to see what he's trying to do, and it's been implemented a little bit better. And maybe the players are buying into it. Maybe it's just we've got better players, but something's working a little bit better than it was earlier on. I've mentioned the recent results and form. We've obviously, we've 5 unbeaten, 3 wins, 2 draws. Not amazing, but good. It's a positive step, and I feel like there's a little bit of belief there. We went behind in both the Spurs and the Forest game, even though we were winning in both those games. But we've shown mettle to keep going and get a point from those games where I think in the past, and Ruben Amorim said it, we would have just give up. I've not watched a lot of Everton, although my missus's granddad is an Evertonian, and he went to the game against Crystal Palace. That was his first visit to the new stadium, and he loved it. So we were watching that one. I was impressed with what I saw. I saw you against, I think it was Liverpool, where I saw you against Crystal Palace, big result, big win. And I think it was a Liverpool game, unless I'm getting this wrong, where there was like 3 minutes of added time. And I remember watching that one thinking, how's there only 3 minutes? But I think Everton under Moyes have looked good. I think you're mid-table, like 13th or whatever. But Grealish has looked good. I always pronounce his name wrong. Ndiaye, is it? Has looked good as well. And I like James Garner, ex-United player. Whenever I see him in a Everton shirt, he always seems to do well. Obviously, plays in a number of positions. And I liked him when he was at United. I saw him for the under-23. So, yeah, I think you've done well to a degree. I don't want to be sort of patronising, though, and say sitting in 13th is amazing for a club the size of Everton. I just think you've got to be realistic about how difficult it is in the Premier League this season, or even in the modern era, when you haven't got tons of money to spend. I mean, United are quite fortunate. We went out in the summer and just spent 200 million or whatever it was to bring in Sesko and Mbeumo, Cunha, and just get our team going, and Everton aren't able to compete on that level with those sorts of finances. Best player of the season so far is Brian Mbeumo. He's been amazing. Player of the month for October, and deservedly so. Not just Man United player, but Premier League player. And I think he's becoming a bit of a talisman. I don't say that lightly when you've got someone like Bruno Fernandes in your team, but massively impressed with Brian Mbeumo. He's been fantastic. I just think he's looking better than he did at Brentford, and I liked him at Brentford. Injury news, I think Martinez is a doubt. Mainu wasn't training. I don't know what the script is there. And Harry Maguire looks like he's not available. So not ideal, but not too shabby when you look at the usual injury issues we have at Manchester United. Likely line-up, I think it'll be the same system that Amorim favours. 3 at the back, 3-4-2-1. So it'll be Son and Lemons in goal, who's done very well. I think the back 3 will be Yoro, De Ligt and probably Luke Shaw. And I think that the 4 across the middle will be either Delo or Dorgu maybe on the left, Amad on the right, Casemiro and Bruno in the middle there. The 2 10s with no Benjamin Sesko. I think it might be either Xerxes, did obviously well against you guys, but more likely to be Mount. Probably Mount and Mbeumo, and then Cunha leading the line. although that can change and Bumo can drop in, or sorry, Cunha can drop in and Bumo can push forward. It's a system that can change. Whereas the weaknesses that Everton can look to attack, we've been vulnerable at set pieces at times, a little bit vulnerable. I like Ahmad as a defender, but he's not got the height. So sometimes I think he was caught out against Forest. We do concede goals, like one clean sheet this season. And I think with some of the attackers you've got, that can cause us problems. The United player to look out for, I've mentioned him, it's Brian and Bumo, but Amad Diallo had a very good game against Everton last season at Old Trafford, so you might want to watch him. Everton player you need to watch. I think Grealish is always a handful in it. Score prediction, I think United can win this one. We've got a very good record against Everton in the Premier League, so I'm going to go Manchester United. No disrespect to Evertonians, I think United 2-0.